everyone. Welcome to the latest show of KidzLive. Hope you are all in pink of your health. As we had promised to make you meet new people while sitting at home, we are back yet again with another episode of KidzLive. Today we have with us a very special friend, Mr. Bibin Babu. Welcome to the show, Bibin.
Hi, Shri. Thank you so much.
Well, nice to have you finally. So let me introduce a little bit of profile about you, and maybe if I've missed something, because I think you have such a wide profile for yourself, you can add yourself something there.
Indeed.
So
Sure.
as much as I could compact your profile with us. Bibin Babu is a young entrepreneur and an accredited investor. He has the coveted ability to turn ideas into business that are profitable and create employment. Bibin has been supporting and investing in technology and innovative projects and startups with special interest in Edu-tech, social marketing, e-governance, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and IoT. So he covers a wide range of industry segments. He is on the board of number of companies in various parts of globe. Bibin is ranked among top 5 Whiz Kids of India by India Today. His hands-on experience in development with Google and Cisco helps him drill down deep into tech products. He mentors and helps startups and entrepreneurs scale up and build up good companies to create more and more employment for the country. He is on board of several companies, namely InnoWork, BlocSpaze, Payiza, InnoBus, Proviar Pvt Ltd, BlocSpaze, SSS Services and TronRefund. So these are some interesting names of the company as well, which Bibin is part of it. And today we will talk about startup and community building with Bibin. So Bibin, welcome once again to KidzLive show.
Thank you so much, Shishir. And I mean, at the onset, I would want to tell you that you're doing a fantastic job with Kidzpreneurs. I think it's one of those programs which weren't there in our country. There were some bit of it probably happening in the States or in the EU. However, I mean that's where the entrepreneurial mindset at a kids level has been getting built, and you're doing a fantastic job. Need of the hour. I wish I had something like this when I was a kid.
Thank you, Bibin. Even I was thinking like if I had known a little bit of this in my younger days, we would have been, we would have saved so much of time solving, time we have spent solving small problems in our, longer
Indeed,
space.
indeed. You're
So
very
yes,
correct.
I think we are going good. So we closed a summer boot camp with Delhi school, some of the top school names. We are doing a lot of stuff with you, but that's a talk for some other time. Today, it's your day here with KidzLive. And let's start with something like little about your childhood and everything. Can you just let us know, just give us a glimpse of your childhood, how it had been, because you are you started your business at a very young age.
Correct.
That kind of a thing. So we would love to know your journey, how that this thing planted in your head and you started a very successful company.
So, Shishir, so I come from like most of us, I come from a middle-class family, low middle-class family. Uh, it's just the parents ensured that I have everything, most of the things which I wanted, apart from having decent pocket money, right? Rest everything was ensured by my parents. So I mean, and that stayed for from my school times to my college times, right? And that's where I thought that I should do something wherein I need not ask support from my parents. So very clearly the necessity was the mother of me being an entrepreneur, right? And I started with very small things when I was a kid. I used to run a hidden computer center in my home. I mean, it used to run only from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. when my parents were not at home. All right, so that's where I started. I mean, I'm just talking about when I was a kid, and then I used to sell comics. I used to, so not just comics. I actually used to create a small summary of these lot of novels and comics and give it to people, sell it to students, right? Because I couldn't afford to buy these comics and books. So what I used to do is I used to take it on rent, create a copy of it. I mean, in terms of major summaries, and sell it. So I did a lot of stuff like that, crazy stuff like that when I was a kid, and I think a lot of us do that. But then I think that stayed with me. That stayed with me when I went on to my graduation, and that's where I started my first company. It was actually a company into events and events collaborations. So we actually used to integrate a lot of big platforms towards one platform and do fantastic programs. In fact, my company also had a Limca Book of World Records attempt for doing the largest Coke studio in India. So
Awesome.
I mean, back then in 2011, I had close to 7,000 plus people attending one event in one venue.
Wow.
Right, and then we did a lot of good stuff. So FBB, Fashion for Big Bazaar, that was launched by us in the northern country, and I was just a student.
What was your age at that time?
I was 18 and a half. I mean, I started my company 5 days 19th birthday.
Oh, awesome.
Right?
Respect.
And I sold that company after a month of my 20th birthday. So and I sold it to a very big name. We know them today as Viacom.
Awesome.
Right. So that's where my journey started. However, it's been a peculiar one wherein, since you come from that kind of a background, you have to also satisfy your parents with what they have, what kind of an expectation they have from you. They spend their energy on me becoming an engineer. So I technically sold my company to get a job. Right. So and there was another reason. I mean, gradually I found that to be a reason, that it was also because I wanted to know a bit more about how the entire company works. How teamwork works, how processes work. That corporate exposure actually probably helps me even today to run my companies with some process. Right.
Awesome.
So quick flashback towards my life.
Not just creating a company from reading comics to creating a company and then selling it off at a young age of 20. That's
Yes.
a commendable job. And I think you have seen the life cycle of most of the successful entrepreneurs here, like in 2 years of your adulthood, 18 to 20.
Correct, indeed.
Okay. So that makes it a right fit for me to ask a particular question. And these questions I'll combine in one. And I think I'm asking to the right person in this case. What kind of person do you think makes a successful entrepreneur? And how does a person should determine whether he's capable of starting a business or not? Coming from you, it will have.
Okay. So to answer your first question, I don't think there are fixed recipes of an entrepreneur, Shishir. You will find all kind of entrepreneurs and all kind of successful entrepreneurs. However, in terms of me, I think if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to be very, confident about yourself. You should not quit. You should not quit. It's as simple as, I don't say be adamant, but don't quit. Secondly, I think I should have had a mentor. If I had a mentor, maybe, and if I was able to find a mentor back then early in my stage, that could have made me even better entrepreneur today. So perseverance is the key. That's one. Secondly, try and figure out a good mentor for you with whom you can connect from the basics level. Right. So these were very primary things. Of course, there are a lot of other things which come into play, but these are the key as per me. I will not say do market research, especially at those young ages. I will not say all of these things, because that's the age wherein you don't have to lose anything. You don't have anything to lose. Go hit on it. What's the worst which can happen? The worst which can happen is probably it will fail. And that's the age. You can do that. You can afford that.
Agreed. Because at that time, I think some mistakes you can easily recover back in the rest part of your life as well. And I wouldn't say that's a mistake. Basically, that's a learning curve which will teach you what not to do or what didn't work well at that time.
Indeed. So, but just be ambitious and don't quit. These are two qualities. If you think you have both of these, go try and be an entrepreneur.
And that's a very strong guru mantra, I think. It should be for anyone who's dreaming starting a business, it should be kept in mind all the time. So I'll put up another question out here, but this is like little bit on your co-working businesses which you are expanding, and you're doing a lot of co-working spaces.
Right.
So how did you got inspired for this kind of a business? And now considering that we are facing a little bit of Corona scare and everything, how optimally and how do you think, what is your recovery path basically for this?
So so to answer your first question, Shishir, why I got into is because I'm a firm believer of the gig economy. All right, and when I say gig economy, it's not going to be just sticking to cabs, or freelancers. The world has actually moved towards where even their workspaces are going to be uh, exactly the way the gig economy works, right? So you don't need to spend too much of money to have a fantastic office, uh, you know and I saw a huge market, of course, because I was inspired by my experience in the valley, in the Silicon Valley. Of course, all the names like WeWorks, kind of came up from there, and they did well. I mean, of course, I'll not go into details. Secondly, what I very importantly feel is that the future of work uh, is very collaborative. Gone are the days when you'll be, able to kind of excel in silos. You can excel in silos, but again, you need to pay a high price for that, high price and high time for that. So co-working is that kind of an industry which brings unicorns together,
Agree.
right? You tell me any single unicorn which did not start from a co-working space. There is none. There is none, right? So that was one interest. Secondly, I am myself a very community guy. I'm a hardcore community guy. I love to collaborate with people in any form I can, and I think that's also where a lot of growth of companies are dependent on collaboration and working together. Collaboration, working together, taking lessons from each other, helping each other grow, being supplementary to each other, and that's what something like co-working brings. And now that brings me to your second question. I mean, of course, COVID times have brought in a major impact, not just in co-working, the entire real estate business altogether, right? I see it as to be a very positive aspect for co-working industry, right? So I was telling somebody yesterday, uh, there are majorly two reasons why businesses are impacted due to COVID. One is because of the health reasons, right? When I say health reason, it means that people are not buying from you, or taking your services because they fear about their health whilst using your service, right? Second reason is that people are feeling poorer, that they don't want to kind of spend on your service or your product. They don't want they don't think they want to afford it right now, right? Because I mean, we all know the billionaires are behaving like millionaires, the millionaires are behaving like poor, I mean, even more poorer, and the poor are, of course, are in a bad situation. So I feel that if you kind of evaluate in both these reasons, if you're falling in the first category, then you need to pivot. Right? You need to make some changes. If you're part of the second category, then I think you should stick to it. You need to hold on. Don't just die, and you'll be sorted. So I think co-working kind of falls in between both of these, between both these categories, right? So there's going to be there's an impact because of people thinking about health, and of course people don't want to pay high. Having said so, I mean, with my brand InnoWork, we are pretty confident that we are pretty much price conscious, right? And we deliver fantastic services. And I'm sure not just for me, for the entire co-working industry, it's going to come back, because people are a social being, yeah, and people need to be together. And future businesses can only be built when you're together.
I think it's very well said by you. Uh, Today is the world of collaboration, and without the impact of community, growing and scaling up your business may not be as easy and as easy to crack here. Now,
True.
talking about communities, I think that's your strong point as well, and that's where my question is focused on. So you have been traveling a lot across India and outside, and you have been working with community building in all geographies.
Correct.
How are you able to get inside these communities, or were you able to create new communities? Uh, you know, uh, not just creating communities, but essentially growing them to a stage where they can actively participate and collaborate with each other.
Okay, coming on to the community perspective, Shishir. So, in fact, my first corporate experience was being a community manager. All right, and it was actually a community of developers. Since I come from the tech background, right?
Of course.
And we were able to build a fantastic tech community, starting from a place like Jalandhar. Right, so 2011-12 wasn't those great times where everybody was tech savvy, and we were able to build a fantastic community based out of Jalandhar, right? Which so if you search today, there's something called as Google developers, right? So so I was one of the first Google developer managers globally. So we actually built so how is a community built? It's pretty simple. One common ambition, one common aim, and you just go out and say that we are not asking for anything, we're just here to give something. That's where you attract people, right? And trust me, I mean, humans are built like that. They want people to be together on a same problem or towards the same objective. So I think community building is comparatively easier than a lot of other things in business. And it is also the most important. It's kind of a low-hanging fruit and a fruit with a lot of juice, right?
So,
yeah.
So I think these are the feedbacks which essentially should be focused by everyone who is either starting a business or trying to build something into the startup ecosystem. And I think without this power of collaboration, I should rephrase by saying with this power of collaboration, a lot of business have seen an exponential growth in their capacity. And considering your particular experience at starting up at a young age and then being an investor in a lot of startups at a young age, if you could share how should one go about building communities to engage with them, and how effectively a community building in startup ecosystem world is different from something which is non-startup driven world, I would say.
See, first of all, I would want to recommend Shishir. There are already too many communities built, right? There are good community. I mean, in terms of tech, in terms of startups, in terms of management, marketing, sales. There are a lot of things which are already built. So, I mean, one piece of advice to a lot of young entrepreneurs would be to rather not start something new, right? Try and be part of an existing community. Grow them along with grow yourself, right? Why do you want to reinvent the wheel? True. Within that community itself, you can kind of find and create your own niche, right? I have seen a lot of communities within Google developers. I mean, let me come, because I kind of feel it is one of the largest communities which is there. So Google developers, iOS developers, WordPress developers, these are actually one of the biggest communities which are there in the world, right? These people have actually found niche and kind of created niche communities within those bigger communities. How? I know a Google for Business community within the Google developers, right? I know just Google Ads community within Google developers, right? So they do work in silos, but still they have the entire outreach of Google developers. So if there are existing communities such as say Kidzpreneur, right? So I would rather recommend to a lot of startups who are getting into this kids space or this kind of a space to come and collaborate with Kidspreneurs rather than trying to create themselves from scratch, right? The only thing which we need to ensure whilst we have built a community or in a part of the community is not to be passive. That kills. Don't be passive, right? I mean, please participate, right? I mean, it's just like a family. So if in a family you don't participate, right, at some point it becomes sour, and you lose your importance and you lose the importance of the family. So stick to those basics. The community always gives back. Always.
That is absolutely true. So much, because we are not just our community of kids ourselves, but we have been part of some communities together as well, you and me. And I think as long as we are keep sharing and giving it openly without an expectation, that thing always comes back to you manifold. So
Indeed. Indeed.
So, okay, because you have started at young age and you have seen a lot of phases from being an entrepreneur to being an investor, I'm sure this journey would be having several mistakes, I would say,
Oh, indeed. Yes.
and your own petty experiences. So, just share with us a couple of them, maybe not many, but which gave a learning lesson for you. And maybe what do you see in the entire ecosystem? What is the general mistakes other entrepreneurs, normally make, either doing a bootstrap business or raising an investment kind of a thing? I think,
First, first things first, Shishir. Firstly, look, a major mistake which we do is to have our co-founders as people whom we consider as friends, or we choose co-founders and our early team from only our friends. I won't say that's totally bad, but then be choosy. That's one mistake I made at an early stage, and I kind of learned from that. When you're creating a team in the beginning, or a co-founder in the beginning, get somebody who complements your skill, not just who says कि हाँ बिबिन तुम सही कर रहे हो, right? बिल्कुल सही है, ऐसे ही करना चाहिए. Not just somebody who say yes to yes on whatever you are asking or saying. Somebody who actually complements your skill. If you are good at marketing, probably he can be good at tech. If you are good at finance, he can be good at marketing, or any kind of a combination. Just don't take in somebody. That's my first lesson which I learned, and I still continue to stick to that. I keep preaching that. Secondly, try and not take anybody's money unless you badly need it. Unless, there is a stage where your startup just cannot grow or survive without somebody else's money. Try and figure out that if you can make your customers your investor, if the customers can keep paying you, the investors will keep running after you, right? Thirdly, your investors are less important than your customers and your team. And why I say this is because if it's especially in these times, it's a time where you need to have fantastic customer love. If you have
absolutely.
fantastic customer love, if even if there will be fault in your products, and the customers feel connected to your product, Shishir, I am 100% sure the customers are so amazing that they would stick to you. They will give you opportunities to improve yourself, and you will not need anybody's money.
I think customers are the best investors you could have ever.
Indeed.
Because
Indeed.
they'll only put pressure to make you better in terms of your product delivery and service offerings.
And lastly, keep your team together. It's a tough task to do when you have a lot of problems, but then if you have a team together, your problems will actually boil down to be manageable, right? I have had situations where I probably was thinking of shutting down one of my companies, and there were team who said that no, Bibin, we are with you, right? We want to build this up. We will try our best. And that company today has more than 1,000 employees.
Awesome. Fabulous. This is a good story and morale booster for others. That business is most important. Focus on business, get customers, and make them your investors. They'll be partners for life.
Indeed.
And I think that's a wee bit of very good advice coming from you, a person who has seen a lot of stuff by yourself. And this makes me ask a very interesting question. Because you travel a lot, you move around here and there a lot. How do you still manage to keep up, with communities you are creating, you are associated with? How difficult or easy it is for you? Do you sleep late? Do you wake up early? Kind of stuff.
Yes, I sleep late. I don't wake up early. If my mom watches this, if I say that, I wake up early, she will beat me up. Right. So yes, I don't wake up early, but I do sleep late. To manage community, as I said, community is a family. They do understand, right? They do understand your limitations because you talk. You talk there. You don't just put emails, right? There people know you, right? And if they don't know you, you should ensure that people know you. Yeah. So how do I keep up is by ensuring that if there is any activity happening in the community, for example, especially today, as of today, I deal with majorly either the tech community And even in the tech community, there is a blockchain community which I deal with, right? There's a tech community, and then there's a startup community. So I ensure that in whatever activities which is happening in the community, I give my active participation, and I promote active participation. That can be as simple as probably asking another 5 people whom you know in the community personally to be active. And that can be as simple as probably even sharing a post on your social media about the activity which has been done in the community, right? Because you guys have to support each other. That's the most valuable and yet no cost marketing activity which you can do for your fellow entrepreneur or your fellow colleague. That's what communities are for, and that's how I keep up. And it doesn't take too much of hard work at all. It's about just being compassionate, right? You feel that you can help somebody in growing their company or their business. Do the least you can, and you keep up. And trust me, it comes back multifolds. All my companies are built on my relationships. All.
That's a very good lesson coming from a young entrepreneur himself, who is now wearing multiple hats, I would say. Entrepreneur, son, of course, family man, and investor. And this is good insights coming from Bibin directly himself. And I think as a budding entrepreneur, or for any profession for that matter, being part of a community always helps you shape up your thoughts, shape up your business, and shape up your ideas in a better feedback way. The only thing is how well you are in sync with that community, connected with that community, how much you're giving to that community. Because if you'll not give back to the community, you'll not get anything back from them. It's like give and take thing always. I think that is what the message you want to pass on, David, to us.
Correct. Put across
Awesome.
very nicely, Shishir.
Awesome. So, Bibin, most of my questions, I think you have already accumulated into your feedbacks and systems. But then there is one particular question which I have been, suggested to ask from our viewers is that, of course, you have already informed us that we should avoid funding at any, if possible, wherever we can grow by getting more customers, we should go that way. But still, being as an investor though, this is question coming from our viewer. How should, on what aspect should we focus when a person is looking to raise angel or seed financing for their business or ideas?
Can you just repeat, Shishir? I think there was some network challenge.
So the question is, what aspect should, how can an entrepreneur raise angel and seed financing? What consideration should he keep in mind while going for seed or angel round for a business idea?
First things first, Shishir, get your unit economics right, and have an amazing story. Because angel investments happen totally on your beliefs and stories and not just on your numbers. Numbers comes in later. You have to have the especially the angel guy. You need to have him on board with you on the story. Towards wherever you are going. So that needs to be really strong. You need to have your entire heart onto it totally, right? Secondly, the unit economics. That's very, very important. Thirdly, the market fit team. I'm saying market fit team very, very categorically here, right? You might have somebody was an ex CTO of some company, somebody was an ex CFO of some company. That it's all sounds right, but you need to have a team which is actually perfect for your industry, your product, your startup, and that's what the investor buys. That's what the investor buys, right? He needs to say that, okay, I'm actually going to solve a Lego puzzle. I am one of the blocks. Are the other blocks in this Lego puzzle actually complementing each other and bringing the bigger picture together? Right. So these are basics, and of course, then later a lot of things comes. What is the market size? Can it be $1 billion company? And all of that, of course, comes one by one. But these are 3 things which actually plays a lot of importance when I meet startups at an angel level.
Great. Some great feedbacks, and that's all in terms of question from our side. we'll give you a little breather to relax now. So thank you very much for joining us, Bibin Babu. And before we end today's session, I would like to thank you all for joining with us on this session. These testing times under COVID-19 situation has created a vacuum and forced us to face times we had never dreamt of. Engaging kids has been quite an effort who are forced to stay inside their home 24/7. The KidzLive initiative, like many other, may help you to keep your child engaged and updated. You may reach out to us for any suggestions and feedback on our website, Kidzpreneur.com. You may also write to us about the topic that you would want to understand more, and we will get experts from you. Today, we had Bibin Babu, and if we missed any of your questions and if you want any of your queries to be answered by him, you can drop a mail to us, and rest assured, we will pass on the message from Bibin to you.
And I am sure I will respond.
Cool. Cool. I'm glad you came, you could take out time for KidzLive and you joined here with us and shared your experience. All the best for your future journeys.
Thank you so much, Shishir, and all the best to you too. Keep doing the fantastic stuff.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.